Hello, welcome to another First Chapter Friday. Our story today is by Karen McManus, and it is Such Charming Liars. It's a story about some con women, and it's a story where some of the people who are bad guys may be good, and some of the good guys might be bad. So it'll keep you on your toes as you read. Chapter 1, Cat. Would the young lady like to see something with the pearl? I'd love to, I say. The voice I use isn't mine. It's what Jem calls vaguely posh, meant to convey a childhood at British boarding schools, interrupted by a transatlantic move to New England that almost, but not entirely, eliminated my accent. It's a lot to get across in 3 words, and I don't think I nailed it. But the man behind the counter smiles kindly. 16 is an important birthday, he says. I couldn't agree more, which is why I spent mine in my friend Hannah's hot tub with Nick Sheridan and a flask of tequila. But now is not the time to share that recollection, so I just smile demurely as Jem says, a special day for my special girl. Jem's accent is impeccable. She sounds like a BBC presenter and looks like a 21st century version of the grandmother on Downton Abbey. I barely recognized her when she came to pick me up, and I couldn't stop stealing glances at her transformation during the drive to the Prudential Center in Back Bay. Jem's coarse steel gray hair is concealed beneath a silvery chigon. She's decked out in an elegant blue suit that would fit in any royal wedding, and she's done some kind of makeup magic that's tamed her leathery skin into soft, powdery lines. I don't recognize myself either when I glance into the mirror behind the counter. I'm buttery blonde for one thing, and I'm wearing a blouse and skirt combo that looks expensive, even though I'm sure it's not. The non-prescription tortoiseshell glasses that I have on are so cute that I might make them a permanent part of my wardrobe. Jem and I are cosplaying the kind of people who swan into Bennington in Maine to celebrate birthdays with expensive jewelry, and we are pulling it off. Something like this? The sales associate asks, holding up a delicate rose gold ring with a single gray pearl. It's exactly the kind of ring a wealthy, indulgent grandmother would buy, and even though Jem is none of those things, she gives a regal nod of approval. Try it on, Sophie, she says. I slip it onto my right index finger and I hold out my hand, admiring the subtle shine. Not my style at all, but perfect for Sophie Hicks Hartwell. That's my getting into character name, which I picked up not only because it too sounded vaguely posh, but it's the name of a girl whose Instagram identity was stolen in a twisted true crime story that I devoured recently on my favorite podcast. A little inside joke that even Jem didn't catch. It's so pretty, I say. What do you think, Nana? Oh, very sweet, Jem says, peering over her bifocals, but a bit on the small side. That's the cue for the sales associate, whose name tag reads Bernard, to show us bigger and better rings. Jem's eyes rove over them like dual cameras, capturing every detail of the luxe designs and storing them away for future reference. Jem might be pushing 70, but her memory is 1,000 times sharper than mine. Photographic, my mother always says. Should we look at something with a diamond? She asks. Hell yeah is on the tip of my tongue, but that's a cat response. Sophie would never. Really? Could we? I simper as Bernard pulls out another tray. Looks like your grandmother is getting ready to spoil you, he says, eyes gleaming with the reflected glow of a bigger commission. For the first time, my stomach swoops guiltily. When Jem proposed this little field trip, I was more than happy to come along because Bennington in Maine is a retail nightmare. A historic family-owned store that got snapped up by an obnoxious crypto-billionaire and transformed into a Tiffany copycat. The new CEO hired an emerging designer to update what he called the company's staid style, and then fired her once her designs took off. In other words, Bennington in Maine is the perfect target for Gem's latest business, selling near-perfect fakes of iconic jewelry designs. Customers get the look they want at a sterling and cubic zirconia price, and a shady company loses value. Win-win, if by win you mean a crypto bro loses, which I do. But none of that is Bernard's fault. We're just wasting his time. While Jem studies the latest Bennington and Maine designs, cataloging all the tiny details that you can't see on a website. Exquisite, she murmurs, holding up a diamond vine ring that's so perfectly constructed it looks like a wearable sculpture. I know from our online stalking that the ring that Jem is holding costs more than $20,000, so it's even out of Sophie's league. Still, I can't help but lean closer, imagining what would it be like to own something so beautiful, to wave at a friend or swipe at my phone while it casually sparkles on my hand. I've seen an unusual amount of fine jewelry in my lifetime for someone who's A, 16, and B, flat broke. But this is something special. And not for you, Jem adds with an arch smile in my direction. And even though she's playing a role, the words still sting. Not for you. Sometimes it feels like that applies to almost everything a girl my age is supposed to have. Maybe on your 21st birthday. We'll hold it for you till then, Bernard jokes. And it's official. I feel like a jerk. I want out of this store, and more important, out of Sophie's pampered little head. Surely Jem's had enough time by now, and when I try to catch her eye, she's still peering at the vine ring. Nana, I think I didn't have lunch and I'm a bit lightheaded. I back away from the counter, hand brushing my temple. Could we get something to eat? Let me get you some water, Bernard says generously. He makes a beckoning motion, and the next thing I know, a miniature bottle of Evian is being pressed into my hand by another black-clad associate. I twist off the cap and I take a sip as Jem finally turns my way, transforming instantly into the picture of grandmotherly concern. Sophie, dearest, of course we can, she says. I should have suggested that first thing. I know you never eat enough for breakfast. Thank you so much, she says to Bernard, handing him the vine ring. You've been wonderfully helpful. We'll be back once we've had a bite. Of course. Anything you'd like to have me set aside? He asks. I want to soften the blow of us evaporating from his life once we leave the store, so I say, I really liked the first one, the one that I tried on, the pearl, the smallest and cheapest ring. Bernard, champ that he is, smiles graciously. A perfect choice, he says, as I chug the rest of my water in a decidedly un-Sophie-like manner. Enjoy your meal. His associate comes back to take my empty bottle, whisking it quickly out of sight. Jem and I walk across the plush carpet to the gleaming silver doors, which the security guard has opened with a nod and smile. Have a good afternoon, ladies, he says. You too, we say in unison as we step across the threshold. Once the door closes and we're in the mall, I breathe a sigh of relief. Not because that we were doing anything wrong, although, okay, technically it was, or it would have been if we were doing it to a less sketchy company, but because this was the first time Jem had asked for my help. Jem Hayes might not be my actual grandmother, but she's as close as I'll ever get to one. I don't know what life would be like if my mother hadn't met Jem 12 years ago, but I do know this. It would have been grim. So when I grab hold of Jem's arm to pull her close and to say, "Love you, Nana," in Sophie's lilting voice, it sounds like a joke, but I actually mean it. I can only say it like this, though. Jem is, as she puts it, a flinty old broad, who either rolls her eyes or cusses me out if I tried that under normal circumstances. Jem responds with a light titter that's nothing like her usual guffaw. "And you, Sophie dearest." She waits until we're down the escalator and away from the crowds before adding in her normal tone, "So, you really hungry or what? Want to hit the food court?" "No, that's okay," I say, swallowing a grin at the mental image of Jem in her tasteful suit and pearls chowing down at a Panda Express. "I can wait till we get home." Jem insists on buying me coffee from a gourmet pop-up that specializes in cafe mocha. I sip the velvety smooth concoction as we make our way outside. It's a gloriously sunny late June day, and my spirits stay high even when my feet start to ache. Jem had to park 6 blocks away to find a metered spot, and Sophie's shoes were not made for that kind of trek. We're almost at Jem's car when it happens. 1 second we're walking, and the next I am tumbling headfirst to the ground, my cafe mocha flying everywhere, because Jem pushed me unbelievably hard. No, Jem was pushed by a guy who came out of nowhere to grab her purse. He tries to take off but can't because Jem has one of the straps in a vice-like grip. I heave myself into sitting position. My lungs can't catch air and my knees are on fire, scraped raw from the pavement. Jem and the would-be thief are still wrestling for the purse in what looks like, to my dizzy brain, like a slow-motion tug-of-war. "Let go, you old bee, or I'll effing gut you," he grunts. My heart jumps into my throat. Does he have a knife? I've only managed to get myself into a crouch when Jem lets go, only to lunge straight for his eyes, her nails extended like talons. He shrieks in surprise and pain as she gouges him, and then staggers to his knees and drops the purse. I grab hold of it as I scramble to my feet, but seconds later it's yanked roughly from my grasp by Jem, who uses it to clock the guy in the head, knocking him fully onto the ground. And then she hands the purse back to me and pulls her keys out of her suit pocket. "Open the car, please, Cat," she says, tossing me the keys. I manage to not fumble the catch and shakily press the fob while she kicks hard at the prone man's head with her lethal heels. "Don't even think about getting up," she growls. Miraculously, or maybe not because she's kind of terrifying right now, he obeys. I dive into the passenger seat and slam the door behind me, my heart pounding so hard it feels like it's skipping beats, and then wait an endless minute for Jem to slide into the driver's side. As soon as she closes the door, I press the lock. "Holy ass!" I say, breathlessly, craning my head to see if there's any sign of the guy behind us. Did that really happen? "He picked the wrong old lady, didn't he?" she says, turning on the ignition and pulling into the street without bothering to even look over her shoulder. A horn blares loudly as she adds, "You okay? Scraped up your knees pretty bad." I'm fine," I say, grabbing a couple Kleenexes from the glove compartment to dab at my bloody knees. The thin tissue sticks and pulls apart when I tug at it, creating an even bigger mess. There's still a lump of fear in my throat, but I swallow it down, and I try to mirror Jem's calm tone. "Just got the wind knocked out of me. What about you?" Jem is the toughest old woman I know, and she's been taking self-defense classes for decades, but still, if you'd asked me how long she'd need to take down a full-grown man, I would have said more than a minute. "I'll feel it tomorrow," she says, rolling a shoulder, "but not as much as he will." GD a-hole. Spilled your drink, too. I look down at my ruined blouse and swallow a laugh. I'd say good riddance, but I'm not sure Jem thinks that Sophie's pilgrim preppy look is as awful as I do. That was a lot of fight over a worthless purse, I say instead. Worthless? She says in mock indignation. How dare you? Jem's purse is a running joke with everyone who knows her. No matter what type she's carrying, her usual tote or this stodgy grandma handbag that I've never seen before, it's stuffed to the brim with so much junk that she couldn't fit a wallet in, even if she wanted to, which she doesn't, because Jem always keeps anything important tucked in a pocket. I need every last thing in there. If you say so, I offer a wan smile before slumping against my seat, giving in to exhaustion as the adrenaline starts draining out of me. Besides, I couldn't let your good work go to waste, she says. My what? I ask. Jem smirks. Look in the side, she says. The side of... I glance around the car, then realize I'm still holding her purse in my lap. When I rotate it, I notice an open pocket on the left. I reach inside, and my fingertips brush against a small, hard object. Something that's both textured and impossibly smooth. I have a feeling suddenly that I know exactly what it is, even before I pull it out. And I'm right. It's the diamond vine ring from Bennington in Maine, glittering in the afternoon sun like an entire galaxy of stars. So for a while as I was reading this, I thought maybe we're not going to have a murder mystery, because Karen McManus always does murder mysteries, and it just felt like it was going to be a heist and a con artist type of story. But I was incorrect, because yes, there will be a murder, and it's possibly not the way that normally would happen in her books. And I really enjoyed all the characters that she brings into the story. Completely original. I don't think anyone is referenced to the old series that she's written. And I really enjoyed it. It felt like a movie that I would pay, full price at the theater to go see. And I think that you'll enjoy it too. There have been some books that I haven't very much enjoyed of hers, but not many. This one I would put up in the top third. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great week. Oh, by the way, this book chapter, somebody had asked me to say when it ends. Page 9. All right, thank you.